Our band fam, this video is going to show you how to um, do your valve oil and care for your baritone. So I have here a 4-valve baritone, 1, 2, 3, 4, um, and the valves on top come off. So I'm going to show you how to do it by taking all the valves off. So you unscrew them righty tighty lefty loosey, and you'll notice when you pull the valves out that there are holes in them. So those holes line up with where the valves come through. So when you push it down, it changes how long your baritone is. So I'm going to grab some valve oil and I'll be right back. Okay, so I have my slide oil, or my valve oil, sorry, my valve oil. Yours might be a different color than mine. And we're going to take the valve oil and open it up. And we're going to oil. I'm going to lay the baritone down so I'm not messing it up. We're going to oil the outside silver part of the valves. And then we take the valve and we put it back into the first valve and we spin it as we're going down to make sure that the valve oil gets everywhere. Okay, now you leave yours in. I'm going to pull mine back out so you can see something. On your valve, you have this white plastic thing. Don't touch it or move it, but the white plastic thing, this part juts out. It's going to line up with a spot on your baritone valve. So right here, there's like a nick in the valve. That white thing lines up with the valve. So I'm going to pull the thing that I pulled up or unscrewed up and line that up. And then I'm going to screw my valve back on. And I'm going to do that process with all of the other valves. So you can go ahead and pause this video if you're doing this along with me and oil the other valves. Okay, so I have all my valves oiled and they're moving nice and fast now. And when you're putting your valves back in, remember, we want to find that notch in the white plastic thing and then the nick in the valve, and we want to line up those notches and nicks, and then we screw that top back on, okay? So that's kind of the long way to do it and the right way to do it. And you should be doing that every once in a while when you feel like your slides are starting and your valves are starting to get gummy, or if you ever hear like a scraping sound when you push your fingers down, you definitely want to valve oil then. If you're in the middle of class and you're noticing that your valves are sticking and you double checked you're using a good hand position, because if you're lazy with your hand position, that's going to cause the valves to go in the wrong way. So you're using a good hand position and you're noticing that your valves are sticking, but it's the middle of class and you don't want to disrupt class by taking apart your baritone and valve oiling. You can turn your baritone upside down and you can see at the bottom of the valves we have holes. Those holes you can press, I'm going to put this on my desk, you can press the valve down, so I'm pressing the first valve down, and then put your valve oil in a couple drops in that top, 1, 2, 3, and then work it in. So again, I press my valve down, put 3 drops of oil in, 1, 2, 3, and then pull it out and valve oil. Here's the third one. 1, 2, 3, valve oil, and the fourth one. 1, 2, 3. And when you do it that way, you probably want to wipe it down with a tissue or something so the oil doesn't drip on you. Okay, so that's how you oil your valves. And then there's a few other things with your baritone that we want to be careful of or caring for. First of all, the tops of where your fingers rest, they do unscrew. You can unscrew them all the way. Don't do that. If you ever hear a clicking sound and it's not because these are too loose and you checked righty-tighty, it could be because you messed with your finger things and you want to turn them righty-tighty. Do not unscrew them, okay? Just don't do it. Okay, and then there's a bunch of slides and valves on your baritone that we don't want to get stuck while you're playing, or stuck just in general. So they get frozen on there because they get gunk in them and they freeze together. So the best way to not have them freeze is every time you pull out your baritone, or when you have time to, you just make sure that you can move all the parts. So these bottom finger, or the bottom of the valves, they do unscrew. So we want them to be able to unscrew. So what we do is we just make sure that they move. So I'm just moving it a little bit looser and a little bit tighter. And then I'm making sure they're all tight. Okay, and then I got valve oil on my pants. If that ever happens, you can just use dish soap and rub it out at home. Okay, and then you have your tuning slide, which is this big slide here, and this needs to have grease on it. So I have some tuning slide grease, and if you're using a school instrument, your teacher probably already did this for you, but I'm taking a little bit on my finger and I'm rubbing it in on the slide and rubbing it in on the slide. And then I'm going to gently put it back in, push it back in, and we always, always, always want to leave a little bit of space on our tuning slide. So I have, oh, and it's, there we go. Oh, that's not my tuning slide, that's my fourth valve slide. Sorry, that was my fourth valve slide. My tuning slide is this one with the spit valve on it. So I'm going to pull that one out, and I'm going to put my tuning slide in. That's okay. The fourth valve slide does need grease too. All of the slides do. So we just put a little bit on. It's not a lot. I have a napkin nearby to fix it. And then we put it back on the same way that we had it. Oh, so I'm noticing that mine's not going in right because I have it upside down. The tubes don't match up. I have to go the other way around. So we push them back in, and we never push the slides in all the way. We leave them out just a little bit. Now I'm going to do my first valve, which is this one. Sorry. So what I did was I pushed on my valve, and this is my first valve slide. So I'm going to push down my first valve and then pull it out. It makes a really cool popping sound if you pull it out without pushing it down, and that's really bad for your instrument. So don't do it, even though it's a cool sound. Putting our slide oil on, and then I'm pushing down my valve again and putting my slide in. The middle, pull it down. There we go. As in valve 2. Put a little bit of grease on and push it up. Now, this grease, since it's not a moving part that we use a lot, you don't have to re-grease it often. In fact, your teacher probably already greased your instrument before you got it, so you probably won't have to do it for a long, long time. What is important is that every time you take your baritone out, you just move those slides a little bit, again, so they don't get frozen in place. Kind of like how your mom says, if you keep making that face, your face will stay that way for forever. That actually happens on the baritone. Okay, so I just greased all my valves, and when I pull out my baritone to actually play it normally, I'm just gonna pull all my slides down and up a little bit. That second valve comes out pretty easily. Down and up, and then the back one, down and up. Eventually, you'll learn how to tune these slides, and the reason why we will pull these out just a little bit will make more sense to you. But until then, just make sure that those slides are moving well for you so that when you want to tune them, you're able to. All right, guys, I hope this video helps you take care of your baritone. Remember, we always keep our baritone in its case, and we always, always, always leave it in a temperature-controlled area. So we don't leave it in our car or on a front porch that's not heated, because the metal can, if there's any kind of moisture inside here, and it gets into like a really cold situation, it can freeze and crack and ruin your instrument. We don't want that to happen. So make sure that you're always keeping your instrument inside and um, inside your case. All right, guys. Thanks. I hope this video helps. Bye.